Welcome back, friends. I hope that you are having a lovely day. However, we have to also look at some of the changes that go on in our lives. You know, when you look at Star Wars and you look at light and dark, when it's very dark, the light comes out. And when the light comes out, it's like the sun coming out. Everyone feels the energy. Everyone is stimulated. Everyone starts to have more of an upbeat motion, okay? When it's cloudy and dreary outside, people might not want to go out. But when the sun comes out, we get energy. We receive energy. And there are a lot of people who are learning right now because they were energy thieves. They decided that they were going to thrive off of people who were unknowing. People did not know that this was even possible, that someone could actually steal your energy. We can call them energy vampires. Now, Star Wars has always spoken about the dark side and how Darth Vader went to the dark side. He was once a light creature, a light being, and he went over to the dark side. You know, sometimes when you are chasing a dream and you decide that you're bigger than God, or you decide that maybe you don't think there is a God, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to collaborate with people who are operating in darkness, okay? So there's a father, a daughter, a sister-in-law. They're a group of people who decided that they were going to come together. Now, they had been stealing from a child for years, and they never thought the child would figure it out. So the father decided that he was going to sell the daughter out. Now, this was a daughter who was seen as, on paper, she was seen as his daughter. And people in the community thought she was his daughter as well. So they never thought, out of all people, that he would be the person who would do such a thing. So this man decided he was going to join a group of people. And these people were operating in darkness. And he said, you know what? My daughter abandoned me, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to collaborate with this group to take my daughter down. But see, when you're dealing with darkness and light, and the daughter was operating in the light, and the daughter made a promise before coming here. When she made that promise, she had forgotten it once she got here. But in forgetting, your soul never forgets. Your soul being, your soul that lives, resides inside of you, never forgets the promise, never forgets the goal. So he decides to collaborate with his daughter, his real daughter, and they get together with the mother and the sister-in-law, and they decide to collaborate. Now, they don't believe that the daughter should have this, even though it is her inheritance, it's her birthright. People forget about the birthright. They forget about people being in certain positions. It's like when you go to another country, sometimes the children cannot choose what their job is going to be, but based upon their family lineage. If their father's a doctor, then more than likely the father wants that child to be the doctor. And maybe a male is born into the family. They want that male to be the doctor because they want to carry on and carry out that legacy. In the United States, things are very different. They don't always operate in the same way, same capacity. But in some cases, you would never decide to take a wealthy family and put them in a poor environment, because you know that if you take a seed and plant it in soil that has not been nurtured, you won't have the same results. So in this case, they decided they were going to work against this person. And the father went to the leader of the group and said, take her. And then a daughter came up with more stories to support what the father was saying. And then they decided to collaborate and get a male to come in and go against the daughter's on paper, that is. And what happens is the daughter started feeling the energy. She started picking up on energy that did not support what people were saying, what people were doing. And she started being able to, at first she thought it was her idea. She thought it was her thinking because she didn't realize that she had the gift. So when the man decided that he wanted to play around, he was in the environment of, they were cleaning up, and she was getting ready to go. And she heard him just as clear as day say, I can't wait for you to go so I can get out of here and go where I gotta go. But in her mind and in her heart, she said, but who's gonna take care of you when all this is done? And she couldn't believe that thought even crossed her mind. And that's when she realized that those thoughts were her own. That's when it all clicked, that this was not for her. So as she left, she was very disappointed, but happy at the same time because she knew the truth. Then she went to a hotel where her father was to check on him because she hadn't seen him. She had no idea that he was working behind the scenes on figuring out on ways to unalive her. When she left the hotel that the father was at, she took a drive. And she went to a spiritual environment where they have salt rooms, just to clear her head. When she got to where the salt rooms were, she didn't even go inside. Her mind, her heart, and her soul, it was almost like every part of her was talking to her and telling her that it's almost time. And she didn't understand what they meant by it's almost time until her grandmother's birthday party. At that birthday party, it was very clear to her what was going on. Sometimes people will be in your energy. They'll be right in front of you. And they will smile when they mean nothing good to you. They don't mean you well, but they're smiling almost to hide the secret. But everyone cannot hide the secret successfully if you feel their energy. Now, the energy vampires, energy thieves, they sometimes think that they can undo the work that they did. There's no confusion about that. You see, a woman went to her freezer. In her freezer, she held baggies, little sandwich baggies, some smaller than that. I guess you call those vitamin or pill baggies. And she had different people's names in it. And the names were written in the baggies on a piece of paper. They were written on pieces of paper and placed in water and frozen in the freezer. They were all lined up. And although she had caused such travesty in all of these people's lives, she decided she was going to undo it. She took the baggies and put them in the sink to thaw out. And they can thaw out, and she can think that she undid what she did in the beginning. But how long were those baggies in the freezer? You see, once you, even with the attempt to do something, to harm another individual, even the attempt works against you. Because God saw it, the ancestors saw it, the angels saw it, everybody saw it already, you know? And although she kept calling on different archangels to do certain jobs, all of these people who were involved, the ones who were behind the scenes, the ones who were involved, everyone has got a mark on them. And when I say a mark, it's not a magic marker, that's for sure. You cannot hurt God's children and expect to gain from it. All of the different gifts that they were given, because we're all given gifts, have been taken away. The only thing they can fight, the only way they can fight now is with their fists physically. They can't even pick up on the things that they may have been able to pick up on before. Was it worth it? See, people don't think about what it is that they're doing when they're doing it, because a lot of people are just going out there for clout. They want to be able to prove something. They want to be able to say, I did it first. But the lives that you involve yourself in, confusing. There's one God and God only. He has the power to do everything. But when you put yourself in a position where you feel that you deserve more, and you decide that someone does not deserve what they're receiving. There's a woman very upset. She was one of the captains on this team. She thought that from her bed, which by the way, she's sick now, she thought that from her bed she was going to be able to do so much. From the time that she had her sister create the first doll, and she stuck a pin in that doll to work against someone, that started the whole doom nation. We all have gifts. And if you don't use those gifts well, meaning if you don't use the gifts to help people, you know, when the ancestors came together, they were in slavery. They were in bondage. They needed to find a way to be able to be freed. They used the gifts that they had to free themselves. Never did they think, at least not all of them anyway, did they think that when they passed down these gifts to their lineage, that they would use it in such a dark way. You know, Robin Hood stole from the rich and gave to the poor. He was a balancer. These people can't be balancers because they all did this so that they can go on lavish vacations. By the way, someone has booked a vacation and they won't be able to go. And you know, I could even, no, I won't do that. Someone is upset that their name has been mentioned. He doesn't understand how the person even knows his name. Everyone involved has got to reap the benefit. But see, here's the thing. I said this before. When you practice deception and you decide you want to hurt anyone, and you decide that you're going to hurt a person, it doesn't always hit them. It hits their family members. Now, the mother of this child decided that she wanted to hurry up and finish the job. The father was already sick, so she said, let me finish. Let me just go ahead and rush this up so that we can hurry up and get this money and go on about our business. You will not receive the results when you do stuff like that. Everyone who plots against individuals to gain money, all these different perks, as you call it. The perks that you think you're receiving are not going to be what you receive, because you are working against innocent people. Children are involved here. Every time you decide that you want to hurt another individual, just know that you're going to be hurt just as much, if not worse. It is time that we take our lives to in another direction. Love is always the answer. No matter what it is that you think you can do, God can do better. So if you had a problem with those individuals, you could have just said, God, I'm putting it in your hands because I can't do it. But you thinking that you can operate as you are God, has caused so much confusion. These people decide they're in South Carolina thinking that they can make all these changes. This whole community has been affected by this. And this community has leaned against other communities because everyone doesn't live in that community. So if you're deciding to work against another person who lives in, let's say, Florida, that person who you think you're affecting your family even more so, because you cannot throw a dart and expect it to go ahead and hurt this person and not be a reflection back on you. We all have a job to do. Our job is to love, to nurture, to help. And you see, each time I used to come to the platform and I'd talk about people use this gift or use that you have, people would go right on ahead that night and decide to work against that very same thing. I said, you know what, use your intuition. They tried to block my intuition. Love is the answer. A lot of people are finding out right now that because they chose to hurt instead of help, they're finding out right now what the results of that is. Again, your children. If you have children and you're working against people, you know that your children will be affected. It'll be a reflection directly right back at them, just like that boomerang. I said, you throw the boomerang and it comes right back. That doesn't necessarily mean it just hurts you. It hurts whoever's with you. We have to begin to make better choices because our families need us. Love is the answer, because when you love, you're going to lead by that love. You know, I also spoke about relationships yesterday, was it? Yesterday. We all are supposed to be in a relationship of sorts. You're in a relationship with your sister, your brother, or whomever. In those relationships, you work towards a goal. I might not have been the best sister to my older brother. I might have fallen short in certain areas. But I had to separate myself in some cases, because if I say something to you and you decide to share it, and that cannot fall into the ears of the wrong people. And sometimes when you share certain things with one person and they share it with other people, those other people carry it to the wrong person. And that happened in too many different situations, so I had to remove myself from that equation. Everyone does not have the same gifts, nor is everyone able to do what you might expect them to do. We all know how to love. That's one of the greatest things that we have, and it's most powerful. People don't realize how powerful love can be until love is no more. You know, I remember one of my brothers growing up, as we were growing up, seeing his heart broken by a girl the first time. I never knew that I could even see him break down. I never knew that. It's not that I never knew that he would break down or what have you. It's just that when you're not used to seeing a person break down, it hurt me too, just like in every family. When the person that you love hurts, you hurt as well when you love someone, right? So it was very painful for him and painful for me to see. I wanted to go and find that girl. I wanted to go ahead and tell her that you don't hurt my brother. But again, God did not plan for it to happen that way. He had to learn a lesson because he had once hurt someone else. We don't see the whole story. God is not showing us the whole story because your story is separate from that person's story. So you learn with your story, they learn with their story. They acted in their story just like you're acting in your own story. So with your actions, they are going to be reactions. If you love another person, love comes back. If you swat at the next person, punch the next person, that punch comes back. And it's more powerful when it comes back because it's happening more double time than what you put out. So it's important that we look at our energy that we are reflecting, because when that energy comes back, might not be so good. It might be frightening. We all have a job to do on this planet, on this as well as this platform. And when you're giving something to someone else, do not expect for it to come back the same. If you do something with a full heart, you decide, I want to give this to this person. When it comes back, it'll be just as genuine, just as heartfelt when it comes back and you're receiving it. All of us are here to give. What do you have to give? All these material things, when you leave here, you can't take them with you. So if you're only here to have a vacation, to drive a sports car, to have this lavish jewelry, if that's all you want, and you've stolen it or you've done anything to receive it back in a negative way, is what you're going to be experiencing. It's important that we look at our lives and we try to reevaluate things so that we can make the better choice. Our world needs better choices to be made. Our children need to see good examples. If you're going to model, let's model it the right way, okay? Love is always the answer. Thanks for joining us. That's Indigo Moon.